Hey everybody, my name is Jared and I am a Master Mason in the state of Mississippi in the United States of America. And today we have a great viewer question. The viewer asks, maybe you could discuss the history of Freemasonry in America. Oh my. Well, why don't we try to keep this down to just a minute, and instead of trying to discuss the entirety of history, on which I am not qualified to discuss, why don't we talk about just one thing that I personally recently learned, and it sort of blew my mind that I had not heard of this story before. So maybe you've heard it, and if you had, just stick around with me and add your thoughts to the comments below. But for now, let me share this with you. Have you ever heard of the George Washington inaugural Bible? This is the Bible on which George Washington, the first president of the United States of America, took his oath of office as President of the United States. So, before I go any further, it bears mentioning that there is some controversy on certain aspects of the story involved with this historic event. Certain things are believed to be 100% true, and others of them are disputed among historians and Freemasons and historian Freemasons. Everybody seems to have a slightly different opinion on how far the truth is extended. So with that said, here's what everybody seems to agree with. It was the day of George Washington's inauguration, and all of the preparations had been made, except no Bible was present for the event. Now hold on a second. Let's stop right there. It's important to note that nowhere in our Constitution or any amendments thereto that any president or any other oath of office must be taken atop a holy book of any variety, be it the Bible or any other religion. Many people report this incident as George Washington himself specifically requesting for a Bible to be present for him to take the oath of office on. And that would seem to be consistent with what is written in our Constitution and in our very founding laws that George Washington helped to form, that we would make sure that there was no requirement of such thing to be done, but also no restriction that somebody could not do that if that was their faith and their desire. And so, on one hand, the story goes that George Washington requested for a Bible to be located. On the other hand, another version of the story goes that the master of this lodge, again, I'll bring you back over here to this website. The master of St. John Lodge number 1 noticed that there was no Bible and inquired of another Mason that was present whether or not he should retrieve one, at which he was then requested to please do so. And so he went just down the street to where the lodge met, retrieved the lodge Bible, brought it back to the inauguration, and saved the day, allowing George Washington to take his oath of office atop of the Holy Bible. Now, the rest of the story is even more controversial. Everybody agrees that, indeed, George Washington took his oath of office atop the Bible that came from St. John's Lodge. Whether or not he requested it or the lodge noticed that it was needed doesn't really seem to matter too much in the grand scheme of things. But he did use that Bible, and it is now on display to be seen today, having an interesting history on being almost destroyed only a few years ago. So go back to that website on St. John's Lodge and read all the details for yourself. That wasn't even their first Bible in the lodge. The poor lodge suffered a fire and lost their original Bible. So make sure you go and read the whole story. Well, anyway, the contention continues, as the story is that at the end of his oath of office, George Washington may have added some words that are not a part of the required words used in the oath of office set out in the Constitution. What words do certain historians claim he added? Well, you can hear it one of two different ways. Either George Washington clearly used the words, "I swear," so help me God. Or some claim he simply used the shortened phrase, so help me God. So I'll let you determine whether or not he decided to amend or add a little bit on to the end of the required words, which I think personally is part of this discussion. There are some claims that there is no way that George Washington, whether he was a Freemason or not, would add words onto the required phrase as being the first president to take this oath of office, it being supposed that he was a part of deciding what words would be included in that oath of office. But on the other hand, similar to it not being a requirement for him to have a Bible, but being something he would be allowed to do in recognition of his faith, why could he not add the words onto the end? Why would you request a Bible and take your oath of office on that Bible, or have a Bible presented and take your oath of office on it, and then decide not to recognize God at the end of your oath of office? And since that time, it has been recorded that every president has decided to use those words, even though it is not a part of the required oath of office. So, tradition stands, whether it's required or not, and we will continue. So, that's the one story I wanted to share with you about the history of Freemasonry in America. We will cover some more details on another question in another day. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you next time.